On today's edition of Anfield Uncovered, we're going to be discussing Ara Slot's huge Alexander Isak injury concern ahead of Liverpool's final game of the season, Dominic Szoboszlai finally speaking out after that painful 4-2 defeat against Aston Villa, plus fresh pressure building around Liverpool's defensive problems after another difficult night for the Reds. If you're a true Liverpool fan, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Anfield Uncovered and let's know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's get straight into the news. Liverpool are holding their breath ahead of the final day of the Premier League season after Ara Slot delivered a major update regarding Alexander Isak's fitness situation. And honestly, Reds fans, this is becoming a serious concern for Liverpool at the worst possible time. The Swedish striker, who arrived with massive expectations following his huge £125 million move, was completely absent during Liverpool's frustrating 4-2 defeat away at Aston Villa. And according to reports coming out after the game, Slot is refusing to take any unnecessary risks with the forward despite how important the final match against Brentford could be. Isak's debut campaign at Liverpool has already been filled with setbacks. Injuries have repeatedly interrupted his rhythm, and after missing large parts of pre-season earlier in the year, the striker has struggled to fully build momentum. So while Liverpool desperately need firepower right now, Slot is clearly prioritising the player's long-term condition instead of rushing him back too quickly, and that decision becomes even more understandable when you look at Liverpool's current injury situation overall. Hugo Ekitike is already facing a lengthy spell on the sidelines, while key players like Alisson Becker and Jeremy Frimpong have also been dealing with fitness concerns. At this stage of the season, Liverpool's squad depth is being stretched heavily. And after conceding 4 goals against Aston Villa, the last thing Slot can afford now is another major injury setback involving one of his most expensive attacking players. Still, there is some cautious optimism inside the club that Isak could return to training before the Brentford clash. Slot reportedly remains hopeful that the striker might still play some role in the finale, although sources suggest the manager is determined not to gamble recklessly with his condition. And honestly, this now creates a massive selection dilemma for Liverpool. Do you risk starting your biggest attacking weapon in such an important game? Or do you protect him fully and make sure he enters next season completely fit and ready? Because after what happened at Villa Park, Liverpool fans know just how badly this team needs quality in the final third. That defeat against Aston Villa was honestly another brutal reminder of Liverpool's biggest problems this season. Despite moments where the Reds looked in control, the match eventually turned into another painful collapse defensively. Aston Villa punished Liverpool repeatedly, and by the end of the night, Ara Slot's side were left walking away with a damaging 4-2 defeat. Virgil van Dijk actually produced one of his better attacking displays of the campaign, scoring twice with 2 powerful headers. But even the captain's heroic performance could not rescue Liverpool from another chaotic defensive showing. Villa simply kept finding spaces. Their intensity caused Liverpool constant problems, and once momentum shifted, the Reds looked completely unable to regain control of the match. And unfortunately for Dominic Szoboszlai, one moment during the second half ended up becoming a major turning point in the game. The Hungarian midfielder had actually started brilliantly. He was arguably Liverpool's main creative spark during large periods of the match and provided 2 excellent assists for Van Dijk's goals. His movement between the lines caused problems, and Liverpool looked dangerous whenever he got on the ball. But then came that disastrous moment in the 57th minute. A costly mistake completely changed the direction of the game and handed Aston Villa a massive advantage. Szoboszlai lost his footing while attempting to control a difficult throw-in intended for Milos Kerkez, and Villa immediately capitalised on the error. Ollie Watkins punished Liverpool clinically, and from that point onward, the game completely slipped away from the Reds. And after the final whistle, Szoboszlai did not hide from responsibility. The midfielder openly admitted the defeat hurt deeply because Liverpool genuinely believed they were controlling large parts of the game before things collapsed. He explained that small lapses in concentration at Premier League level can completely destroy matches, especially against clinical opposition. He also issued an apology following the mistake that contributed directly to Villa's goal. Szoboszlai admitted he simply lost balance while trying to deal with the situation and acknowledged the enormous expectations that come with wearing the Liverpool shirt. But importantly, he also made it clear that he refuses to allow this difficult moment destroy his confidence long term. And honestly, that mentality will now be extremely important because Liverpool cannot afford for key players to mentally collapse after setbacks like this. Ara Slot himself was reportedly furious after the game, especially with how quickly Liverpool lost control once Villa gained momentum. But despite the disappointment, the manager immediately tried lifting morale inside the dressing room and backed the players publicly afterward. Reports now suggest that communication between the coaching staff and squad has intensified following the defeat, with major concerns emerging over Liverpool's defensive organisation. And if we're being honest, this has been one of the biggest recurring issues throughout Slot's first season. Liverpool have looked vulnerable far too often defensively. There have been moments where the team simply loses structure completely once pressure builds. And against Aston Villa, that weakness became painfully obvious again. In fact, this latest defeat marked Liverpool's 19th loss of the season across competitions. And for a club with Liverpool standards, that number is simply unacceptable. That is why there is already growing talk about a major rebuild during the summer transfer window. The club knows reinforcements are needed. Defensive adjustments are needed, and if Liverpool truly want to compete properly again next season, the hierarchy will have to back Slot heavily in the market. Now interestingly, despite the defeat, one area where Liverpool actually received praise was from set pieces. Jamie Carragher highlighted during Sky Sports coverage that Liverpool's improvement from dead ball situations has been one of the few positive tactical developments in the second half of the season. And that's actually quite remarkable when you remember Liverpool made the controversial decision earlier in the campaign to remove set-piece coach Aaron Briggs after concerns over defensive vulnerabilities from corners and free kicks. Since then, Liverpool have clearly improved attacking-wise from those situations, with Van Dijk's brace against Villa becoming another example of that progress. But unfortunately, good set-piece routines alone cannot hide the bigger problems within the squad. Because once Aston Villa increased intensity during the second half, Liverpool looked exposed again. Their midfield lost control, the defensive line became disorganised, and the attack struggled badly in open play. And this is where serious questions are now beginning to emerge around Ara Slot's first season overall. Some supporters still fully believe in the Dutchman and argue he needs more time plus proper backing in the transfer market. Others are already beginning to worry that Liverpool still look too inconsistent under his system. Because while there have been positive moments throughout the campaign, there have also been far too many performances where Liverpool simply look fragile both defensively and mentally. Still, from everything being reported right now, the club hierarchy intends to fully support Slot heading into next season. And honestly, that means this upcoming summer could become one of the biggest transfer windows Liverpool have had in years. Fresh defenders are expected to arrive. Midfield reinforcements are still being discussed. And there is also major uncertainty surrounding several attacking positions. Which actually brings us nicely to the latest speculation surrounding Alexander Isak again. Despite his injury struggles this season, Liverpool still see the Swedish forward as one of the central figures for the future of this project. The club believes that once fully fit and given a proper pre-season, Isak can become the elite-level striker they invested so heavily in. And that's precisely why Slot is refusing to rush him back recklessly now. Liverpool understand that protecting the player physically could be far more important than taking short-term risks in one final league game. Meanwhile, there is also growing positivity surrounding Wataru Endo potentially returning in time to help the squad. And after Liverpool's defensive collapse against Villa, his experience and composure could actually become very important. At the same time, there are still ongoing concerns surrounding Alisson Becker and Jeremy Frimpong, with both players continuing to be monitored closely ahead of the final matchday. So overall, Reds fans, Liverpool head into the final game of the season with massive pressure, huge injury concerns, and serious questions needing answers behind the scenes. The defeat against Aston Villa has only intensified discussions around the squad's weaknesses. And while there are still positives to build on, nobody inside the club can ignore the fact that this season has exposed major flaws across multiple departments. Now the big challenge for Ara Slot is proving he can rebuild this side properly during the summer and make Liverpool far more stable next season. Because one thing is absolutely clear after Villa Park, Liverpool cannot continue defending like this if they want to compete seriously again. Anyway, Reds fans, that's going to be the latest Liverpool news for today. If you're a true Liverpool fan, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Anfield Uncovered, and let's know your thoughts on everything discussed in today's video down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again very soon for more Liverpool updates right here on Anfield Uncovered.